Cartoon characters seem to leap right out of somebody's imagination and onto the screen. But have you ever wondered what makes Mickey Mouse move and Road Runner run? We're going to show you how an animated cartoon is made.
Froggie went a-courtin' and he did right, sword and a pistol by his side, Froggie went a-courtin' and off he'd go on a big red horse by the name of Mo, Put on up to Miss Mousie's door, Hollered to her loud and sure,
The cartoon segment you just saw is the opening of Froggie Went a-Courtin', created by Miami and Frank Gladstone. The 27-year-old animator works as a virtual one-man band. He draws his original characters using a chart and a hand-sculpted model for reference. Frank also uses his face as a tool to bring life to his characters.
To get an expression, animators will use a mirror if they're perplexed about how their character should look. So they'll do the action right in a mirror like, "Hi, mouse." And I'll do that several times, "Hi, mouse," to get it down. And that's why some of the people say my frog looks a lot like me.
Took Miss Mouse upon his knee, Said, "My dear, will you marry me, Oh, we can live so happily way down yonder in a hollow tree,
We'll ask my Uncle Rat's consent, He'll answer yes, I'm confident. May we get married Friday night?
Well, sure, okay, it's quite all right,
Oddly enough, the first thing Frank draws is the background. It will remain still, and the characters will move against it. Sometimes he must provide extra room for running figures.
Okay, this is a long background. It's used to give the illusion of movement. We start at a point and we put cells in front, like this horse, and then frame by frame, as we change the cells, we also move the background. And when it's projected, it'll look like the horse is moving, galloping. In this particular scene, we have two that make one background, a foreground and a background, so that some characters could go behind the trees and some go in front.
They decorated swamp and bog, as would befit the mouse and frog, The wedding scene looked very nice, with a chocolate frog and a mouth made of ice,
The rabbit said,
"Now let's begin, Do you take her? Do you take him? To be your partner all through life, I now pronounce you frog and wife,
Since the song dictates this action, it was recorded earlier. Now Frank has to match his images to that music. He makes a visual outline on a storyboard that looks like a comic strip. Each picture here represents a scene in the cartoon. Each finished scene will be comprised of numerous drawings. To keep track of all this, Frank needs an elaborate record. Animators call this a dummy book. Frank has picked drawing number 73A of Froggie and Mouse dancing for us to follow through to completion.
This is what we call the animator's rough, and it's a rough drawing of the characters in the midst of an action. A whole action is roughed out first, and then later I'll take all the roughs and clean them up or erase all the extra lines and make the lines I want to keep hard and firm. The reason I wanted to show you this was to show you how characters are constructed, mostly with circles. For instance, the mouse is really just 3 circles here. And all her appendages, her arms and legs, are also just circles and connecting lines. This is her little dress, and so on.
He cleans this sketchy drawing by erasing carefully until it is barely visible. Then he uses smooth single lines to get a finished product. Next, he makes a pencil test or home movie with the simple drawings to see if his characters move realistically. It's also helpful to act out what characters do in order to time their actions correctly. Frank uses a stopwatch and an ability to act that he says is common to all animators.
Okay. And you got to be slightly off the wall, just slightly, because the job a lot of times demands that you be alone for a great period of time, working on little bugs and bunnies and things like that, and deciding how they should walk and how they should act. Once all the things are done, we can put them back onto the light box and flip them to get an idea of what the motion will look like finally. Oh, that's a note to the inker painter on a confusing area in the drawing.
Next comes the work of an inker and opaquer, Kathy Morris. She traces each drawing onto a clear piece of plastic called a cell. When all the lines are inked, she turns the cell over and opaques it, colors it with acrylic paints. The whole process takes more than 1/2 hour for each cell. Painting on the back looks sloppy at first, but when you look at it from the front, it's neat and clean. Let's take a look at this cell as it goes by in the cartoon.
No grander feast has ever been seen, Drink turnip wine, ate black-eyed beans, While a turkey sitting smack in the middle picked up a bow and played on a fiddle,
You got to be really excited to see the stuff move. I think about that question, why the hell am I sitting here drawing all these pictures? But I know that eventually they'll all be put together and they'll move, and that's exciting for me.
This is the finished frame, number 73A. But before Frank could see his characters come alive, each cell from this box of over 2,000 had to be painstakingly matched with its background and photographed, one at a time, to make a movie. It takes 24 of these pictures to make 1 second of time on film. Gladstone's 3-minute cartoon took 3 days to shoot before it was complete. Frank worked over 1,600 man-hours on this project, but he thinks his efforts were worth it. So do we.
Frog and the mouse on the honeymoon, Left the States on the 5th of June, Went across the sea to Rome, stayed for a while and then came home, And now they have a family, A little baby on each knee, A boy and a girl, I do declare, they look like mice, but they have frog hair, Well, that's the end of my little song, Sung it fast so it wouldn't take long, I put the book back on the shelf, and if you want any more, you can sing it yourself.